On today's show, South Carolina freshman phenom Dylan Stewart joins the show. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along on today's show. Some of our Super Bowl Radio Row Week interviews, catching up with some SEC folks and some folks to talk college football. Mark Herzlich will join us from the ACC Network. Will Anderson Jr., former Alabama Crimson Tide stud and current stud for the South Carolina Gamecocks, Dylan Stewart, will join us. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to Everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. And today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers could get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. All right, let's dive right into it. As a few days ago, we were able to catch up with Dylan Stewart from the South Carolina Gamecocks, and man, what a dynamic freshman year he had. He was teamed up with porkrinds.com, was making an appearance on Radio Row, sitting down with a bunch of different radio stations, and we were able to talk with Dylan Stewart, who was joined alongside Mark Singleton, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Southern Recipe Small Batch with porkrinds.com, and they were starting a new Crunch Time Hero of the Year award, and Dylan Stewart was the recipient of that award. Now, fair warning, Dylan Stewart's very young. He's, just 18, 19 years old, just came off his first year in the SEC. He's a stud defensive player on the field, just not a very talkative guy. So in our interview with him, doesn't give very long answers, but he's very straight and to the point, and respect that, and certainly respected his time. So without further ado, here was our interview with Dylan Stewart and Mark Singleton, and certainly expecting a monster year from Dylan Stewart in 2025. Brought along here from Super Bowl Radio Row, and a pleasure now to be sitting down with, we cover the SEC, and one of the guys, stars of the SEC. He was a stud as a freshman just now over at South Carolina, Dylan Stewart. He is back at South Carolina, ready to wreak havoc, and our buddy Mark Singleton over with, we got Pork Rinds, Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds. Dylan, welcome in. Mark, how are you?
Hey,
how you doing?
Great.
Good to have both of you guys. Dylan, talk to me, man. You guys just had an awesome season. I was talking to your coach just a couple weeks ago, and South Carolina, man, y'all took that big step forward, and now it's about taking that next step forward, right?
Yeah.
What's it going to take? You guys experienced some success this year. What's the next step?
It's going to take attention to detail and just the little things, eliminate the little mistakes, and to be more precise with what we're doing.
What was the biggest adjustment you had to make going from high school to college?
I had to grow up fast and be more mature and responsible, and take more responsibility for things.
Because a lot of it's in that prep work, right? Like doing the homework and figuring out. And SEC, you're going up against some of the stud offensive linemen out there, and you really got to do your homework and know your assignment, right?
Yeah, you definitely got to do your homework.
What was the biggest challenge for you? What was the big thing you maybe didn't expect first year of college?
I didn't expect to be triple teamed every week. That's what I didn't expect.
Well, Kyle Kennard kind of appreciated it because it opened up room for him. But that's a respect level for a guy like you that's a freshman drawing so much double team or triple team, right? Yeah. Talking with Mark Singleton as well. Mark, talk about this partnership and what you're doing with Dylan here today.
Well, we've been coming to the Super Bowl for about 15 years and supporting Coach Dick and the Gridiron Greats. A couple of years ago, we said we really need to figure out a way to become more involved with the college game. Obviously it's the most popular thing in America after the NFL. We've got tons of fans out there. And so we wanted to, just like pork rinds are kind of underappreciated on the snack food shelf, we wanted to do an award that really highlighted the guys in the trenches, like Dylan, the defensive players, the defensive linemen, offensive linemen, the guys that have that crunch time, play of the day. That play that we all go, oh man, that's amazing. Dylan had one of those really early in the year, amazing athleticism. He won our first week award. And every year we put another great play up against him, his still came to the top. I mean, every week as the fans voted, he was the clear winner, and we're so happy to have him here celebrating our Crunch Time Hero Award. And what a great freshman year, all SEC, Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, kind of a...
The problem with it is you keep talking about his freshman year. Now it's like we keep raising the expectations for the sophomore years. Dylan, how do you stay? I mean, you got to keep yourself grounded and stay humble, right?
Yeah, I never let anything keep me from being too high or too low. Like, it's always just going to be there.
Yeah. We had Kyle Kennard on a few weeks ago, and he was named SEC Defensive Player of the Year. And he said he's talked with you a lot throughout the year. What specific things did you pick up from Kyle along the way?
Just how to be a professional and know how to do things the right way.
And I mean, and he brought that over. I mean, he was new too. He came over from Georgia Tech, so I'm sure you guys are both kind of learning together on the fly everything that goes into the SEC. But I mean, your defensive coordinator, I feel like, doesn't get enough respect for what you guys did with this defense, because South Carolina's always got a good secondary, but man, y'all are becoming the school now where D lineman, pass rush, it's the premier place to be, right?
No, it definitely is. Coach White does a great job of putting people in position to make plays.
You were a big-time recruit, 5-star recruit. You could have gone anywhere. What made you want to stay home in South Carolina?
The people in that facility, I felt like it was a great fit for me, and I felt like there was great people around in that facility, so it made me great.
I love you got the glasses on because your fellow teammate, Lenore Sellers, he kind of lost the specs at one point this year. He was wearing the glasses. Did he say why he decided to lose them?
I don't know. You got to ask.
What did you guys see from him, though? I mean, kind of taking over, because we didn't know what to expect. I remember last summer people were asking, like, what do you think, what's the ceiling for Lenore Sellers? I said, I mean, if everything clicks, he could be the next Johnny Manziel. What did you see? Because he got better and better as the year went along.
There's no ceiling for him. He's an athlete. I think he's 240, 6'2". Yeah, he's an athlete.
You go up against him in practice?
Yeah, I sack him a lot.
So maybe he's got to work on his speed, huh?
Nah, he's pretty fast for a 240 quarterback.
Yeah. No, he is, and that's what's so fun about the South Carolina team is having two dynamic freshmen like both of you. Now, he redshirted. You were a true freshman, but to have both of you guys coming back, did you consider at all? I mean, look, this is a day and age of transfer portal and NIL. Did you consider at all leaving, or you said no? I made an impact here. I'm staying at South Carolina.
Yeah, I never considered leaving.
Love it. Is it just because of Shane Beamer and what he brings to the program?
Yes, everything about the program is just a great program to be in. Everybody clicks well together.
What did you like most about Shane Beamer when you first met him?
Just how enthusiastic he was and how passionate he was about football. And
look, he's willing to yell and scream at other coaches, so you got to love the passion of that, right? Yeah. Mark, it's so great with a guy like Dylan, because you guys have had, I mean, so many different great players that you've been able to acknowledge along the way. But, man, this guy, it's fun to have him at Super Bowl Media Day because there's some future stars here. I mean, you could see Dylan in this spot in a couple of years, right?
I think pretty quick, sooner than later, I would say. And it's just such we've teamed up with a great foundation this year to help everything we do. We're a family-owned company, the world's largest manufacturer of pork rinds, which is kind of like being the biggest bluegill, Chris. I mean, we're not that big, but the ability to help in our communities. And this year we've teamed up with the Archer Foundation to raise money for a devastating cancer called DIPG. It hits 300 families a year. It is a juvenile cancer, and it is there's no cure. And so these families are told in their first meeting the doctor that they're going to need palliative care. And when you're first meeting and learning that your child has cancer, for that to be the news you get is devastating.
Yeah.
And what we're doing, our grandson Archer was diagnosed last October, passed away in April. In July, we started forming the foundation. And in October, we got it up and running. And we're already helping over a dozen families to get to their medical care, to keep a roof over their head, to help with their medical bills. Very little of this is covered by insurance.
Yeah.
And Dylan's been a great spokesman for us this year in helping us get out the word. And where people need to go if they want to help is the archerfoundation.org.
Okay.
501c3. All the money flows through to the kids, and we're so appreciative of the time to talk about it with you today.
Yeah, no, it's tremendous stuff. And just a couple more minutes with you guys. Dylan, what's when you look back at the film from last year, what's the biggest part of your game you think you need to work on?
My run defense.
Okay.
Not playing to run against heavier opponents.
Gotcha. So when you're playing off the edge, I mean, it's tough because you got the assignment of you got to set the edge at times. Also, get after the quarterback, watch what he's doing, and if it's a run play, you got to adjust and come back inside. So what's the dynamic of kind of working on those skills? Just not sideline to sideline, but mobility side to side.
It's just working at what you need to work on. Knowing what officers are doing, knowing the formations, knowing your keys. Reading things like pre-snap reads and things like that, so you know what's going on.
We hear about the speed of the SEC. Did it feel like that to you, or did it feel a lot like high school? I mean, not like high school, but like was the separation as big as they make it out?
It's definitely a separation. Okay. You can definitely get lost if you're not there.
Yeah. You guys have had some rocking environments, though. How much do you like playing at Williams-Brice when that place gets pumping and the lights are going up?
When we're going, we're winning, we hitting, making plays. It's going crazy. Yeah, it's crazy at night.
That A&M game, the second half, I mean, they just had no chance.
Yeah. Stadium level was too high.
When Dylan Stewart is not playing football, what are you doing?
I'm chilling. I'm just by myself. I hang out with my friends and things like that. I don't be doing too much.
Video games?
Yeah, video games.
What do you play?
I play NCAA.
Okay.
Yeah, NCAA.
Are we properly rated in the game, or do they need to bump it up a little?
Nah, they definitely need to bump it up. Yeah, they definitely need to bump me up.
Well, you get all those attributes up there. What about movies? Are you a Netflix guy? What do you do?
Netflix? Nah. I really just turn my light off, go to sleep, wake up. I'm not really a Netflix guy. I go to the movies to watch a movie, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the best movie you've seen recently?
The best movie I've seen recently? I would say probably Wolverine and Deadpool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that good?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay. What's your favorite movie of all time? Do you have a favorite?
All time? No, I don't got no favorite.
You don't have a favorite?
Nah, matter of fact, All About the Benjamins.
Okay, that's a good one. You know, I asked Anthony Richardson a couple years ago what his favorite movie was. He told me Venom.
Venom?
I said, all time? Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, all time is crazy.
Venom is underrated.
It's okay. It's not the greatest movie of all time. That's a little extreme. Game day playlist. What's on your game day playlist?
Game day playlist?
Getting your mind right, getting in the zone.
This is whatever the mood is for that week.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
So if it's like a tough opponent, do you need like amped up music or like low key slow stuff?
It's really it's just whatever I'm feeling that week. Like, just I like the song. Yeah.
I love it. So you don't even need motivation. Yeah, you're ready to go.
Nah.
I love that.
My first game, I didn't listen to no music. No music.
How do we get 5 Dylan Stewarts on a team? We need to clone you.
5? It's not a whole lot of this around.
I love it, Dylan. Dylan, really appreciate you taking some time. Mark, appreciate you taking the time. One more time, let everybody know, Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds.
You can go to porkrinds.com, southernrecipe.com, and please go to the archerfoundation.org, and let's help out some great kids.
Love it. And Dylan, go Gamecocks, man. You guys go crush it, all right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back right after this. Thanks, guys. All right, thanks again to Dylan Stewart and Mark Singleton there of Southern Recipe Small Batch. And Dylan named the 2024 Crunch Time Hero of the Year recipient, thanks to porkrinds.com. All right, coming up next here on Locked On SEC, our sit-down interview with Will Anderson Jr., current stud for the Houston Texans, and was a stud when he was with the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's coming your way in just a second. But first, I want to remind you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. And look, we've been telling you about FanDuel all year long. Great stuff happening at FanDuel. Whether you're a college hoops fan, an NBA fan, when the game tips off, the action is just getting started. There's no better place to get in on it than with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And with FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. We love using FanDuel Their live betting feature keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether you're backing your team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three, you will never miss a chance when it is with FanDuel. And again, right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, rolling along here, Locked On SEC. Thank you guys for making us your first listen every day. Certainly enjoyed our conversation with Dylan Stewart, expecting a monster year 2 from him at South Carolina. Another guy who had some monster years in the SEC, was one of the most dominant defensive players during his time there, and that was Will Anderson Jr., who went in the top 5 in the NFL draft a couple years ago to the Houston Texans, was named Defensive Rookie of the Year 2 seasons ago, and just finished another monster season with a bunch of sacks for the Houston Texans. So it was just a couple minutes sitting down with him, but certainly appreciated Will Anderson Jr. sitting down with us. And by the way, he was with his dad, who's with him just about everywhere he goes, and another great dude. And again, really appreciate it. Even just a couple minutes sitting down with Will Anderson Jr. of the Houston Texans. Run along here from Radio Row with the great William Anderson Jr. from your Houston Texans. Will, I know you're enjoying all this. I know you're enjoying, but you guys, I know, want to be in this game next year. So what's the focus, man? What's got to happen for you guys to be here next year?
Yeah, man, we just got to do a better job of executing, man, and making sure that we're being all on the same page. And, you know, it's really just somewhere us, the players, making sure that we're sacrificing our time and making sure that we need to do what we need to do, set ourselves ahead, and make sure that we're going out there and competing to the highest level that we can.
Yeah, it had to be nice. I remember talking to you when you were at Alabama, because you used to talk about you got a lot of double teams, and it was hard. Teams were focusing on you, and you win, Defensive Rookie of the Year and all that. It had to be nice, though, bringing over a stud defensive end on that other side to kind of take some of the attention away from you.
Most definitely. Danielle's been a great help, man. He's been a blessing to have on this team, man. He's taught me so much on and off the field. The way he prepares, the way he's persistent, the way he's so consistent with his game, it rubbed off on me so much, and I took so much from him, just like working my hands after practice, working my hands during practice, on the sideline when the offense is going, how I'm taking care of my body, how I'm eating right, and he's just been unbelievable for me.
Did the defense change at all from last year to this year? Did Demeco kind of keep things the same, or did things change?
Demeco is Demeco. Demeco is like, look, I know what this is. I have the guys to do it, and we're going to get it done. We just have to continue to do us better. And that's what I love about Demeco, because his confidence is so high, it just bleeds on to us, man, and we adapt that confidence, man, and he pushes us to be the best that we can.
You know anything about the new OC, Nick Caley, coming in? He's very highly thought of, a lot of pre-snap motion, that kind of stuff. Do you know anything about him?
Not too much, but I heard nothing but great things about him. I'm excited to work with him. I'm excited to see what he does with CJ and their relationship and what he can do with the offense. And I trust the decision, you know what I'm saying? And I'm excited about this next year that we're going into.
Some injuries happen throughout the year. Does that stress even more in an offseason, man? You got to do everything right to take care of your body, because it's a grind, man. And you miss some games, it's a big loss. You can't get those games back.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it all starts in the offseason, just like how you take care of your body and stuff like that. And you know, injuries is a part of the game. You know what I'm saying? I think Coach Ryans always talk about, like, even though when we have these injuries, like, whoever's up after you, like, how are you paying attention? How are you getting the mental execution that you need to do while you're not in? And those are the areas that we can improve on as well as too.
How about Sting? Having the year he had.
Sting.
All-pro Stingley. How about that?
All-pro Stingley, man. Stingley is the best cornerback in this league, man. And I played with Pat Surtain, and I think very highly of both of those guys. And both of those guys are top. I'm not saying which one is 1 or 2, but both of those guys are top. And I love Stingley to death, man. He's the best, man. He's the best to do it. The way he can go up and get the ball, the way he covers people, the way he come down and tackle. He doesn't say much, man. He just lets his game speak for himself, and he's going to continue to do great things in this league.
If you're walking down the hall at NRG and Nick Caserio, you walk by his office and he goes, "Hey, Will, come in here real quick. What a quick thought. We got that first-round pick. What do we need?" What would you tell him?
I don't know. I'm not a GM. I'm not a coach. I'm not nothing. I'm just like, man, whatever y'all think needs to help to
best
win
player
the team,
available, right?
Whatever y'all need to help win the team, it don't matter to me. Whoever y'all get in here, I'm gonna love up on them.
Yeah.
And making sure that they have whatever they need in here, man.
What'd you make of the year Joe Mixon had, man? They added such an added dynamic to the offense.
Bro, Joe was the energy on that offense, man. The way he led that offense with CJ, man, the way he brought a spark to it, man, it was like none other, man. But he does that to the whole team. And we played against Joe last year when he was at the Bengals, man, and I knew how special he was, and he brought that energy into the building. It was good.
The added dynamic you guys play your butts off in Kansas City, but like the way the way the game goes, do you almost go, it's that much more important we get home field.
Yeah.
Because we saw that crowd rocking in the Chargers game. I mean, it is a difference maker.
It is.
So getting that best record in AFC matters a lot.
It does. It's a lot of cold games you got to get on the road for, man. But like I said, we got to find a way to win. Those are what the good teams are doing. They're finding a way to win, and that's what we have to continue to do.
All right, you've been in Houston now a couple years. Give me the best food spot.
Best food spot in Houston. For breakfast, the Breakfast Club.
Yep, it's a good one.
Barbecue, I want to say, is it Hutchinson or Truth? It's one of the barbecue places.
Oh, well, you can't go wrong with any of them.
It's both. Those are like some of the places that I like a lot.
Are you ribs, sausage, turkey?
Ribs, just really ribs.
Okay. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
It's not bad eating. And you played in Alabama. They got good barbecue there,
They do.
too.
Well, I didn't even really eat the barbecue that much in Alabama.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were busy sacking dudes and having fun in college. When you're not playing football, what are you doing?
I love fishing with my dad. Me and him go fishing all the time, man.
Around Houston or back?
No, back in Georgia, anywhere.
Okay.
We go down to Florida and go fishing, man, and it's been great. Like, that's just my peace of mind, my calmness. That's been really good.
Redfish, bass, what are we catching?
Bass, largemouth bass.
Ooh. What do you use for a lure?
Carolina rig, and some of them we use shad, minnows, all those different type of things.
And you get out there early?
Yep, we got out there early.
Right when the sun's coming up?
Right when the sun come up. Because if you don't, it'd be too hot.
Yeah. Before we let you go, let everybody know what you do, who you're promoting here today.
Yeah, I'm with Jif Peanut Butter right now, man. And, over 1 billion people eat wings on the Super Bowl. So I'm teaming up with Jif to save the celery right now. And what better way than eat the celery than with peanut butter.
I love it. Well, it's great to catch up with you, man. I know you've been doing 1 million of these, so appreciate you taking some time, dude. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll be right back after this. All right, thanks again to Will Anderson Jr. Coming up next, we'll talk some college football with a guy we normally don't cross over here, right? We're normally in our SEC bubble, but how about a guy who does some ACC work? Mark Herzlich, who, of course, was a stud linebacker for the New York Giants, Super Bowl champion for them many years ago. He's got his hair still kind of like in that stripe, on the back of his head, but does some work with the ACC. We'll get his thoughts talking some college football coming up in just a second. All right, roll along here, Locked On SEC, and really appreciated some insight from Mark Herzlich, guy who has been around a while. We talked about him, won a Super Bowl with the New York Giants many years ago, and played for the Boston College, and loves the ACC. Went on to do a work in the media world, joining the ACC network following the end of his playing career, serving as a color commentator, doing a lot of different games. And he's a guy who's done a lot of great stuff, man. I mean, he was diagnosed with cancer back in 2009 and battled that, was announced as cancer-free. And so just a really good dude, doing a lot of great work in the community as well. But really enjoyed our conversation, talking some college football with Mark Herzlich. Without further ado, here was some of that conversation. Right along here from Radio Row, and always fun to talk with some former players when they are stopping by here, talking all things football. And joining us now is Mark Herzlich, who played with the Giants, won a Super Bowl, did all that stuff, but now doing the analyst thing. You moved to the booth. What's the hardest thing making that transition from player to the booth?
I think a lot of people talk about, like, the hardest thing is to concisely say what you want to say and be able to stop talking. I mean, that's the biggest thing is, like, stopping talking. And people think, like, oh, hey, you're great at talking. You talk all the time. Like, you'd be great in front of the camera. And actually, all the producers are like, hey, look, we want to hear so much less of you. So I think that was the biggest thing is, like, hey, let's just figure out how to stop talking.
Yeah, it's funny, too. The other thing that and a lot of former players I've talked to have said the hardest thing is to be critical, because you've played the game and you know how hard it is. And it's hard to be critical of guys because you know they're doing their damnedest.
Well, you know what's interesting is I think the easiest way for, like, the easiest way for me to learn how to actually be critical is I was calling. So I went to Boston College and I was calling BC games, right? So like when you're calling the game of the team that like is your team, you want them to do better than they're doing, right? So you're like, I have to restrain myself and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you made that throw. Like, let's pick it up. So I mean, I think that was for me, and it's actually interesting. So Tim Hasselbeck, another former Boston College guy, but he was doing the ACC network too at the time. And I thought I would just listen to him and be like, man, this guy is really good at being critical, but not critical of the player, just critical of the decision or critical of the, hey, I know he can make that throw, but, this is not his day, right, type of thing. So, yeah, that's been a part of it. I'm a, truth speaker anyways, so sometimes even my wife is like, hey, maybe you should probably not say that. So
you guys, Boston College had a nice year. Bill O'Brien, who we know very well. Thomas Castellanos has a great year and then hits the portal. What do you make of the current landscape of college football?
Yeah, man, college football, it's interesting because there's so many really great stories that you see about, a guy who maybe isn't getting the right chance or getting the right look, and he transfers schools and he just has a phenomenal year, right? And you see it in the NFL all the time too. I mean, you look at Zach Baum, right? The linebacker for the Eagles. He's a special teams guy in New Orleans, and then he gets a shot, right? And if there's no free agency, he doesn't get that shot. And so I think what you're seeing is that happening in college football, which is great for the players. But it becomes very difficult. I mean, talking to these coaches, it's these transfer portal windows. It's like when they open up. So this December transfer portal window is driving coaches absolutely crazy because they're like trying to get ready for bowl games. And I called a bowl game Western Kentucky versus I forget who they were playing, but Western Kentucky had 45 players in the transfer portal that were actively playing in their bowl game. So like the quarterback for Western Kentucky was staying. It was at FAU. He was staying at FAU to then look at the school after the game. So it's very interesting.
It's just wild. If that had been around when you were playing, would you have left Boston College?
I don't know. I don't think so. It's like kind of interesting hypothetical. So for me too, right? I had my junior year was my All-American year, and then I got diagnosed with bone cancer the following year. So like I wasn't going anywhere at that point.
Yeah.
But I do remember we were also pretty good. So, no, I wouldn't have gone anywhere. I liked Matt Ryan as my quarterback.
That's an interesting thing, too. You think of NIL and the money and all that. I wonder if, the stuff that people are throwing out there now, I wonder, would a school have called and said, we'll cover your cancer treatments and stuff? I'm just thinking, hypothetically.
Trust me.
And
even, we sold, merchandise and stuff just to, rally support around my treatments. And, again, there were the amount when I got to the NFL, the amount of pharmaceutical companies or hospitals is something that I did partner with eventually to help talk to kids and talk to different things. I think there could have been a market for that too, but yeah, no, it's a wild world, and my wife and I actually lead Athletes in Action. So it's like a Christian group for collegiate athletes. So we lead that at Boston College, and so we talk to some of these kids about their NIL money. And I think the biggest thing is these kids just also need to be educated on the fact that, hey, you're getting paid on a 1099, not a W-2. They're not taking their taxes out. You got to save some money. And they're, some of the kids are like, oh, no one told us that, right? So we got to educate them financially as well.
And even the cars too. Hey, here's a Lambo. Okay, great. This is just a borrow. You don't own this car. If you crash it, good luck.
Right, and insurance on that is
it's through the roof.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely crazy. You've done so much work on the ACC network throughout the years. What do you make of? SMU comes in immediately and has all this great success.
Cool.
It's crazy.
It's really cool. I think SMU is an interesting story too because so much is made of the TV revenue, right? And so SMU, part of their deal with the ACC was we are not going to take a split of the TV revenue for the first 9 years of us being in the ACC. Right. Pony Express is live and well down there. It's like the amount of donor support that school has gotten. It not only the donor support to enter the ACC, but then the donor support to have the NIL funds to completely rebuild our offensive and defensive lines to be able to compete at a Power 4 level and they did it, and they were exciting to watch. It was cool.
Are you worried at all about SEC and Big Ten being such big powers that they may take their ball and go home and leave the ACC and other conferences in the dust?
Well, I think there's a possibility that I'm not well versed on like how the NCAA, how they're going to pull away from the NCAA and different TV contracts and different things like that. But I mean, there's some big name schools that are just really, really good at football, and I think it's when you look at the ACC, right? Every now and then you'll get like an SMU year or this year, or you'll get, Florida State can't figure it out to save their lives, right? They did last year a little bit, but then, it's got to be Clemson. It's got to be Miami. And Miami looked awesome this year. And Cam Ward's going to be a top draft pick. So, if you get a quarterback, just like anything, it's just like the NFL. If you have a quarterback, you got a chance.
Yeah. What do you make of Carson Beck leaving Georgia and going to Miami? I mean, they had great success with Cam Ward, so it seems like that kind of like rent a quarterback for a year thing is working.
Well, and Carson Beck saw Cam Ward and the freedom that they gave Cam Ward, and I think it's kind of like, what's his face? Quarterback, Kyle McCord, who at Ohio State loses one game to Michigan, and then they're like, oh, he can't win the big one, right? So he transfers to Syracuse, and Fran Brown, their first-time head coach, says, okay, we are going to recruit you. We can't pay you the NIL money, but we're going to set up our organizational structure to have me at the top, Kyle McCord next, and then the offensive, defensive coordinators, the rest of the coaches, and the players. So you are going to come in and be a decision maker, and you're going to be able to basically run this team with me. And he came in and he led the nation in passing yards. So, like, there's something to be said about maybe going from the Georgia program to maybe a little bit lesser, a lesser Miami that is still good.
Yeah.
They're a great team. They got good support around them, but you can have the freedom to be like, I'm going to run this team. And who knows if that's the case or not, but it would definitely be an appealing thing for someone of Carson Beck's stature.
Yeah. I'm sorry I'm asking so many college questions.
No.
I'm a college guy, so it's a little bit more intriguing to me. Do you think the 12-team playoff, you think it worked this year? Did you like it?
Did you like it? I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, the games were a little spaced out. It was like, can we get this train rolling here? And, like, you play a game and then you're off for 10 days. It was like, all right, maybe a little bit more consistency. I've said maybe Army-Navy doesn't need their own weekend. They need their own time slot,
correct,
absolutely.
yep.
But I think we could play some playoff games that weekend instead of having so much time off.
Yeah, that week is you just kind of get in a rhythm, and I think you forget it's Army-Navy week, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, where's the other games? So, I think that's true. It did it felt like it lasted a long time, but then you're like, well, how else? You got to have a week in between. I mean,
Right.
you can't have guys play back-to-back games just because it's harder.
Well, now they want to expand even further, and it's like, okay, we're going to be playing games like the week leading up to the Super Bowl. We're going to play the national championship. So I don't know, but now you're stepping on NFL playoffs toes, and so I don't know what the answer is. I just know every one of these moves motivated by money.
Money.
Money dictates everything. So
Yep.
people are like, should we add another week to the NFL season? Like, we don't have a say. They're going to do what they're going to do, right?
They're going to do what they're going to do. The players are going to push back the way, they don't want to play any more games.
It's crazy. We're talking with Mark Herzlich. Let us know what brings you to Radio Row this week.
Yeah, so I'm in town. So along with the broadcasting, I also work my 9-to-5 job now. I work for an NGO that fights human trafficking and modern day slavery. So I run a division of IJM that is all of our pro athlete and influencer donors. So we have about 150 pro athlete couples across NFL, NBA, NHL, and MLB that have learned about our mission and decided, hey, I want to do something to help, whether it's give financially, whether it's raise awareness on their social media platforms, or go to the field. So I'm leading a trip to Kenya with Hunter Henry and his wife Parker Henry, and Matthias Kiwanuka, former player who played with me with the Giants. We go and we just support the work in Kenya and meet with survivors of trafficking and meet with the frontline workers and learn more about it, and just kind of learn, hey, how can we continue to support this? Because right now there's 50 million people in the world that are currently enslaved. It's more people that have ever been enslaved in the history of humanity. And IJM has a plan to stop that and reverse it. And it all predicates around finding the perpetrators and putting them in jail. We've done a lot of work in India, in the red light districts in India, and when we first started going there, there was like little kids out on the streets, and we went back after we finished the work there, did a prevalence study a couple years ago, and it had gone from 40% of the sex workers on the street were kids to less than 1% were kids. So basically, once we started putting the bad guys in jail, then they're like, oh, well, we're not going to do that anymore. So anyway, so that's what we were doing here. We had a great event last night, actually. Lauren Daigle, who's a Grammy Award-winning singer, she's singing America the Beautiful before the game. She came and had a private concert last night. DeMario Davis hosted it for us. Gail Benson, owner of the Saints, came, and just phenomenal evening. It was really great.
That's great stuff, and obviously tremendous ever. That Jim Caviezel movie, I think, opened a lot of people's eyes up to what's going on there.
I actually remember being on Radio Row, gosh, it was 2 years ago, and people were walking around being like, hey, we're trying to get this new movie launched, The Sound of Freedom. We're trying to get this new movie launched about human trafficking. I'm like, oh, this is great. We're bringing awareness to it. But yeah, people saw that movie and were like, oh, wait, this stuff is really happening, and it is.
Is there a place folks can go to find out more information?
Sure, yeah, IJM.org. International Justice Mission, IJM.org. And our collective group of our athlete partners is called Team Freedom. So you can go to IJM.org/Team Freedom, find out all our partners that help support us. And we have some amazing notable people. I mean, Kirk Cousins uses his platform to help support us. Baker Mayfield uses his platform to help support us. I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing unbelievable work in the NFL for our cause.
It's great stuff. Keep up the great work, Mark. It's always good to see you, man. Thanks so much for the time.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back more right after this. All right, thanks again to our guests today, Mark Herzlich from the ACC Network, Will Anderson Jr., former Alabama Crimson Tide member with the Houston Texans, and, of course, Dylan Stewart of the South Carolina Gamecocks, poised for another monster year there. That is going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Again, thanks to all our guests. Thanks to you guys for checking in. We'll be back tomorrow with an all-new edition of Locked On SEC. Hey, thanks for making us your first listen. Check out for your second listen. Why not check out our buddy Chris Marler, Locked On Gamecocks? You can find him there talking all about Dylan Stewart. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow right here on Locked On SEC.